All right, welcome back, everybody, to another new episode of A Whole New World, where we're here to put a spotlight on positive things happening in the community and developing that positive mindset. I am your host today, Jacob New, and as always, we love to start every episode with a dad joke. And here, without any further ado, I forgot it. all that build up, and I forgot it. Oh, I got it. Why do Norwegians build their own tables? No IKEA. Yeah, that's a great one.
We have some nightstands from IKEA.
we are. So, who doesn't go to IKEA? That's the question. People who are like Nebraska. But anyways, we have a very special guest with us today, and that would be my lovely wife, Trisha New. The crowd goes wild. Hey. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. So we are starting off about a 6-week series talking about relationships and the various aspects that go into that. And so I thought a fun episode would be getting to just chit-chat with my wife about relationships and things. So I'm not 100% sure about that, but things. Yeah, I'm trying, but things that we do well and things that hurt us in a relationship. So
we could improve on.
Yeah. That's what I meant. That's what I said. You didn't get that?
Mm-hmm.
See, one of the things is communication. So, yeah, she gets me, right? So, so share with the audience just a little bit about you. What got you interested in me? You know, how awesome I was. My really, really ridiculously good looks. I mean, what? No.
Well, I guess you just said it all for me. Interested in you was your personality. Your personality. Sorry. I mean, saw you at work. It's the way to do it, you know. Go to school all these years and find a man to work. But really, it was your personality. You just like talk to everyone, and you're just really funny, and you look good too.
Yeah, I work out.
Something else, but I don't know if it's appropriate.
Let's keep it PG, even G. G rated. G ratings
right.
here. Yeah.
You look good.
Yeah, thanks,
babe.
Yeah. So for me, I remember just you going. Oh, for those of us who don't know, we met at school, but well, actually, a lot of you don't know. So let me tell you, we were Secret Santas together.
I was your Secret Santa.
I was the beneficiary of that one, right?
Yeah, you got the
so I got all these really sick gifts, and so I was like, oh, who's this girl? So long story short,
Starbucks at 6:30 in the morning for you.
Yeah. Long story short, we ended up dating, and then she got me to say I do, and so we're married now. Long story. So, but with relationships, though, I think that we all have this healthy and like unhealthy relationships, obviously. But we'll start with the healthy side of things. In your mind, what is it that makes a healthy relationship healthy?
Healthy relationship, healthy. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I personally have been in not so great relationships, so I've seen both sides of it. And I think a healthy relationship is just really friendship. And I know we're going to get into that later.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it really is. I mean, when you have a good friend, you trust them, you respect them. So when you have a good relationship, you're doing those same things in communication. And just, I think faith, honestly, for me, I can't speak for everyone, but for me, is important as well. It helps make a good relationship.
Yeah, no.
I feel like that's what we have, those things.
And I want to build off of that just a little bit, and yes, we do have it. But
wait a minute.
I think for me, like a big selling point is the communication, because even when we were first getting together, we were going to Diana, a premarital counselor.
It's pre-engagement counseling, which I definitely recommend.
But it helped us a lot with our communication, and she talked about things like holding and just being able to help us with expressing our feelings and emotions. And I think that really helped, because having that open line of communication, and when I think of a good friend, I think of somebody that's going to give it to me like it is. Yeah. Like, hey, you're being dumb right now. Or, you know, like, right. But maybe phrasing it a little bit different, you know. But for me, a big learning part was that part of communication everybody thinks of, oh, you're not listening to me. Is like, well, I got to listen. Sometimes I got to hold and just let that person speak and say their mind, because that's important to them. And so that was a big learning point. My favorite thing from
Diana was you always want to help. Like, okay, women, you're probably with me right now. We vent. Come home from work, we vent. Our friend makes us mad, we vent. And I would always vent to you, and you're like, how do I help you? Like, you wanted to help. But sometimes it's just like, I just want to gripe. And so Diana taught us that I'll just tell him, hey, I'm just venting. Like, I don't need help right now.
Yeah.
And I love that, because then you're not like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, and I think it's important. That was a good point, because, one, I grew up with 3 brothers. I don't have any sisters. I have my mom. And what do you really learn from your mom anyways? I'm just kidding. No, I learned a lot from my mom. But I didn't have that sister aspect of things, so I don't really have as much interaction in that realm. But that was another learning point for me, was that, so now sometimes, guys, I've learned, do you want me to just listen, or do you want me to help solve? That's a great question sometimes to ask before.
Or participate in my banter. Like, you know who I'm talking about, let's go.
No, I'm all about that positivity. No.
It's very little.
So
the women get me.
They do. Yeah. There's a lot of guys out there that probably get you too. Like, my coworkers, shoot. But I also think, and we were talking about this earlier today, is that having that self-love, though. So not only the communication, being open with each other and having those tough conversations, but loving yourself. And you and I just recently started going to the gym, and we talked about, like, well, you got to make sure that you're doing stuff for us, and because we're talking kids, we're talking about how we're going to make sure that we still have time for ourselves and that to do things that are important for us.
Well, and together, not even necessarily ourselves.
Mm-hmm. But I think everybody, too, still needs that alone time.
Oh,
you know,
100%.
Like, I need to go do my hobby. That's why I think hobbies are so good.
Yeah, and this is usually your thing.
Yeah, this is my hobby. Gets me out, guys.
Yeah.
So.
Mine's crafting,
but,
as you can tell.
Yeah.
I'm not a professional.
But you do a great job, and you are very crafty. But finding my train of thought as we just sit here. No.
Hey, you invited me here. You know I get on these little tangents.
I'm just distracted by all the beauty on that side. It's okay.
The headphones,
you know,
they really make the look.
Oh, they do. Yeah. But I think so. Finding the communication and having that self-love, but I think that's very important. And your value shouldn't have to come from other people.
Right.
It's
true.
My own personal thought, and so it's hard for me in past relationships. It's hard for me to love somebody when they don't love themselves. You always feel like you're trying to pick up the pieces, and it's just not, as in my mind, not a very healthy relationship. You need to fix the relationship with yourself first,
right,
and then that relationship goes off into other things. So, and I've worked a lot on that myself, but so any other things that you think make add to a healthy relationship? So we've talked about.
I mean, I think those are like the most important. To me, my most important thing is friendship.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, life gets really boring if you're not having fun.
Oh yeah.
That's why my mom is so mad at us, because our wedding video, I mean, we were joking during our ceremony, like, that's just who we are. And she's like, yeah, I don't take anything seriously. But we don't. Mm-hmm. life is fun for us. I mean, we do, I guess. We do take things seriously, but...
We take it seriously when we have to, but
right.
we enjoy to have
that's
fun.
That's just who we are, and that makes things more fun. I don't want to be serious all the
Yeah.
time.
Because going back to the personality thing, I mean, why should I hide my personality around you? And that's another thing, is that if you're in a relationship where you feel like you have to hide yourself, that's probably, to me, that's a red flag.
Get out, yeah. Or you have to hide anything. It's like, no.
Yeah. Man, and I just want to throw out a disclaimer. We are not professional marriage counselors or anything.
By any means.
So take everything, take everything that we say with a grain of salt. I think personally there's a lot of truth to it. Knock on wood, or not knock on wood, but like toot my horn, toot toot.
Right,
but you know, we've been married almost 7 months.
Watch out.
But I think we both had bad experiences and enough good experiences to know and identify what for us works. And I think a lot of us listening out there can identify with that too. People. So, what do you think our biggest strength is as a couple? Friendship. You're strong in that friendship thing.
I am. I'm really.
So tell us more about friendship then. What is that?
Just we get along really well. We have a lot of fun together. But
I'm a good time.
Really, like we have a lot of fun together. Like we'll just sit there, and we did a puzzle the other day, and it was fun.
It was 100 pieces, and we crushed it.
We just always have fun together. But I think there's more to it too. Like we trust each other.
Mm-hmm.
Faith is really important. Like we're doing a Bible study right now. I'm a little behind, but he will always be like, you know what, I'm doing the dishes. Go do your Bible study. Like you really just kind of keep me on track. And I think we just balance out each other. Like you were saying, leaving the store today. I'm not going to go into the details, but you were like, you balance me in that aspect, and just I think we're just good. Well, and two, like my best friend, shout out JD if you're listening. She always says, because she's been around, we met and we're friends in kindergarten, and she's been for the bad relationships and the good, and she's always said that you and I make each other better people. Yeah. And that has just resonated with me. Like that kind of helped me realize too that you're the one. It's like we do make each other better people, and that's important. And
I think that a good point for me with that is that we don't tell each other you need to be better. Like we're just
leading by example.
Yeah, and it's nothing that like I've gone to you like I need you to work on this, or you haven't come to me and said that. There have been times where like you're annoying as
well. I need you to work on getting me dinner tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll work on that after the show. But I think that's another important factor too, is that if we don't expect each other to change. We're not like, you need to do this for me to stay with you.
We're literally for better or for worse people. Yeah.
And so I like that, and the support you give is amazing. So for me, based on previous relationships, I've been in some that haven't been very supportive, and it's been very tough. And so I just appreciate the support to me. So having that to me piles in with the respect. You respect me enough to honor my decisions and support me through that. And when you were talking about the Bible study, that came to my mind too, is that I feel like I'd support you back. So support both ways. And every time we're talking about relationships, it's not just a one-way road ever. Right. So, so we've also talked about friendships a lot too. So let's go into that a little bit before we kind of come back. But so you talked about your friend JD. Why is it that you have been friends for so long? What qualities do you think are important for people to keep and maintain a relationship with their friends? Because we've been talking about from more of a romantic aspect. Right. Is there a difference, do you think?
Well, obviously, because as much as I love JD, I'm not into her that way. Well, so there's definitely a difference.
You do different activities.
Exactly. But for her, the reason we're friends is like she has always been just there. Like, anytime, especially, like, we were both in, like, bad relationships before and stuff, and she, like, if I called her, I'm like, I need you, she's there, and vice versa. We've just always been there for each other. We'll go, like, weeks without talking sometimes, months, days, and then we just pick back up right where we left off, and she's just like a sister. I'm the only child, so she's a sister I didn't have, and I mean, honestly, like, I've always valued her, but she was our maid of honor, my maid of honor, and, like, I've never seen someone, I mean, my whole bridal party was amazing, but, like, she really was there the whole way of planning, like, picking out dresses. She went to extra appointments, and just, I've never seen someone so, like, committed to being a friend and a support system, and just a good person. Someone I would want to be like, so I want to be around.
I like that. And as you know, but as our listeners don't know, I too have had a friend since 6th grade. It was we celebrated 2 decades of friendship.
I think I married him too. I'm not quite sure yet.
Yeah, that's been the running joke is that you marry me, you marry Chip.
It was the condition.
So yeah, 3 rings, and you know.
Well, we're about to marry Brittany then, because they're getting married soon.
True.
Yay.
But I do have to agree, for me, like, part of the reason why we've remained friends for so long is that he's been there to support me and through everything. And I mean, there have been times where we haven't talked as much, so we were a little bit distant, but we always came back and it was just like, wow, we've been I don't want to say with each other, but I mean, like, we've been around each other for, like, there's no time's passed, essentially. And I think that he's also helped me to become a better person, because I've always wanted to be, growing up, I was an introvert, and I admired that he was an extrovert. So he helped me in that aspect. Again, he didn't force me, but, you know, that was something I admired. And I think as we go, there's... You search out people that you want to learn from. Yeah. And so he's been a great example, and he's really been... I said I have 3 brothers, but he's been another brother I haven't had.
I count him as my brother-in-law, 100%. Yeah. Like, he's family.
So...
well, I've only known y'all for 4 years, and, I mean, I see it. Like, y'all are... He's a great person. It makes you a good person. And same with Judy. Like,
we try our best. But so for me,
good bond.
I think a friendship is very similar to that romantic relationship, but it's in the but without the now you got me thinking the benefits. I'm like,
sorry, I'm just thinking pizza later. But
okay. Pizza benefits. No, but somebody that's there to support you, helps encourage you, is there. And so when I think of friends that have kind of come and gone, I think interests play more of a factor in that for me, because I mean, it's easier to dismiss a friend because they don't have similar interests as you and be like, well, I don't want to hang out with them, and especially if they're too different. Whereas like in a romantic relationship, that's okay. I think you can find a way to work around that.
Like, JD's the complete opposite of me, but we're the exact same at the same time.
Explain.
Well, like, you know, she was always kind of like my protector. She's the one that she will tell you how it is and how it's going to be, and I love her for that. And I'm terrified to do that. So, like, she balances me out there, so we're completely different, and she's a little more extroverted than I am, but we still, like, in high school, we would watch TV and get Olive Garden to go. Like, that was our jam. So, I mean, we're the same, but we're different. And you and Chip are, too. Like, y'all are pretty much identical, but then y'all have differences, too. Yeah. Well, and you and I, too. I mean,
we have our few differences. I mean, you love soccer. I love soccer.
I tolerate soccer for the group and for you.
She hates soccer, everybody. Let me just throw that out there. Yeah. I love soccer. She does not. So, but we make it work. It's okay. We make sacrifices. Yeah. So.
That's fine. You haven't sacrificed for trashy TV yet. He will not watch the Kardashians and the Housewives and all that. So frustrating.
Yeah, I just can't get into those. Sorry, guys.
You're missing out. Some good drums.
No, I'm not. But Songland's really good if anybody's looking for a show. But anyways, I digress. So, whether it's a friend or a a romantic relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, did you have a list of, like a checkoff list of the qualities you were looking in people?
Yes and no. I feel like I always like had a type, or like, oh, I want this and I kind of want this. And then finally I just kind of gave up on it. I mean,
gee, thanks.
Well, no, it's not that you didn't like fit the qualities. But, you know, I have, just before you, a couple just not so great relationships that you're just kind of like, I knew I didn't want that. And so I was like, okay, for me it was more of just, I just want to meet someone that I can share a life with. Like, so your personality stood out to me. Okay, I can have fun with him. Like, we're going to be able to just do nothing at home and have a good time. That was important to me. I mean, and so I had things like, okay, he has a job. Like, obviously I need to be with someone who has an income, you know, a teacher here, not bringing home the money.
Yeah.
And then I looked at you too as like, what kind of father is this guy going to be? What kind of friend is he? And I mean, like we joke with JD again, like sister wife and stuff. Like, you just accept everyone. Your friends accepted me. Like, you just had all those things. I'm like, okay, this is someone I want to share life with.
So it's kind of like you threw the list out the door, but you had a string attached to it and reeled it back in.
It was more of like, I just want a partnership. I just want someone that I can do life with. But not have to necessarily work at it. Like, yeah, marriage is work, but it's fun work. It's not like, oh my gosh, we have to do this, and we don't have to force it. It just works.
Well said. Well said.
I know.
I'm gonna dust off my shoulders on that one too.
Good.
Shoot.
I made a list of no, I'm just kidding. I had no idea of these questions until like 5 minutes before this.
You're welcome. That is another thing you don't do to your wife, is surprise her, but I did
ladies.
it anyways.
I'm getting dinner out of it.
So, but you just make me speechless. What can I say?
No, it's not beauty.
No.
What
I do want to ask, though, so you did have a list of requirements. I did as well. Words. I did as well. I didn't have like them written down or anything, but I had like an idea of the type of person I was looking for based on previous relationships that I'd been in.
You knew what you didn't want.
Yeah.
That's better, is that you knew what you didn't want.
That was pretty prominent in my mind at that time.
Yeah. Well, and one thing I'm impressed with you is like you didn't just jump in like after relationship. Like, you were trying to find yourself and like what you wanted and figure things out, and that's so important. There's so many girls that will just jump in and they're like, oh, it just never works out. It's like, well, what do you want?
Yeah. And I think that's an important thing for all of us to do, is just to kind of like figure out who are you. That was a great sentence, but no, I mean, like, but who are you? Like,
really, who are you? What do you want? That's why.
What are your core principles?
Girl, I'm name dropping you like crazy. But I mean, that's one thing she is doing. Is a lot of people always like, oh, you know, you need a boyfriend, you need a boyfriend. She's like, I'm figuring out who I am and what I want out of life, and she's probably gonna have one of the best marriages because of that. Yeah,
and no, I agree, because she's taking the time, and that goes back to kind of putting the time into yourself, which I think is very valuable. Like, how are you going to know the type of person you're going to be in a successful relationship with if you don't even know who you are? I mean, that's an important piece that you don't want to be missing.
Right.
And I think in society, there's a lot of pressure to be in a relationship, but it's just as fine to be single.
Right. It's 100% fine. I mean, I've seen all sorts of relationships, some good, some bad, and I think the secret is that she's figuring out what she wants.
Yeah, and kudos to JD. So if you're listening,
girl, you are so famous today.
Do you, girl? Shoot. Nah. But I do think that is so important, and I think in another episode I had mentioned the importance of just kind of defining your core values. Like, what is it that you stand for? What does Jacob stand for? What does Trisha stand for? Yeah. And not only does that help with relationships, but that's helped me with other decision-making processes. That doesn't align with my core values. And so I highly recommend that people take the time to figure that out. If you're single, keep being single. Really think that through. I mean, I get that aspect of you're single for so long and you just want to be in a relationship with somebody, but that's not
for any decision. Like for a job, I can't just settle for the job because it's close to my house. I have to have a passion for that. You can just settle for a guy. I mean, if you're a believer and he's not, I mean, it's not going to work. If you like to go out and do all these things, but he doesn't really, or you don't like to do this, or vice versa, whatever, he doesn't like to do it. I mean, for us, like, you go out more than me, but like we balance each other. It's not like a
for those. I think for me, it's more of a compromise.
Yes,
like willing to compromise, and which has been a struggle for me sometimes because
for me, only child syndrome.
Yeah, but for me, like, I don't like sharing, to be honest. It's hard for me to share.
We were just talking about this. Actually, Brittany and I were just talking about this.
And
like, I'm more willing to share. She said Chip was more willing to share.
Yeah, but having to share with brothers growing up, you're kind of like, which is kind of messed up and backwards, but it's something I'm learning, I'm working on. We're all works in progress.
Really well. So, we have a good compromise in the house. Like, you'll help out equally. I help out. I mean, it's not like I'm doing everything, you're doing everything. You do share very well.
Thanks.
I just don't like to eat off your plate because I don't eat food.
I don't.
I cook 2 dinners most nights. Yeah. Because I don't use food.
I was like, I wouldn't want you to eat off my plate. That's a pet peeve.
Yeah.
So.
No, you do a good job of sharing.
But so we've talked a lot about things that can kind of like that we feel are healthy signs of a healthy relationship. Obviously, getting to know each other, communication, the trust. Am I forgetting anything? Those are like the 3 main ship. The friendship, the faith for us. I think for a lot of people, if you're a believer, then you'll agree too that it's harder to keep your faith when the other person doesn't. But what are some things that are, in your opinion, relationship killers?
Defying my trust. What's the word I'm looking for? Like, losing my trust.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like you and I communicate well and stuff, but like doing something to lose my trust. I mean, it's so hard to gain trust back. I was actually watching a TV show and it's Seventh Heaven, and the mom said it best. Her daughter did something wrong, and she was like, "I just can't trust you. Like, you took something away that we had." And the daughter's like, "Well, can we get it back?" And she's like, "This is gonna be hard, but we can." And so for me, I think that would be really hard. And then, for us, this is going to sound super cliche to some people, but our faith is big to us. So you leading us is important. And, if you were to stop doing that, like, it would be hard to be in the place we're in because, I'm trusting and leaning on you to do that. So those would be probably my 2 biggest. I can support you lose your job or something. We'll figure things out. Things like that happen, but for you to just like to lose trust or to lose that faith would be, I don't know if I could bounce back.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hope I'm never there. Hope I'm never
we won't get there. We won't get there. No. For me, it's just when like constant criticism.
Why don't you do this? Why don't you do this?
Yeah. The nagging syndrome.
I hope I don't do that to you.
No. But I was thinking, like, what would I say for this question? And I think the constant criticism, because after a while, I mean, I think anybody can agree that just kind of gets at you without how could
it not? You're tearing someone down every time you criticize them.
And I am a very positive person, so like the constant negativity just not only is bad for me, like I just like bad for anybody, but it just emotionally drains me. I'm like, really? And so that's one big one for me. Like, if you're negative Nancy, Debbie Downer, any kind of negative name out there,
sorry,
go
I'm kind
away.
of that way now.
Yeah.
The gym gave me some bad news, but getting better. I'm getting better.
Yeah, you're taking steps to make it better. So
very negative about that at the moment.
No, but you're handling it well. So
trying.
So we both had a little run-in with COVID-19, and we're not talking about the disease. We're talking about the 19 pounds you get from
we're like 40.
being at home.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, that's what we're referring to for those of you listening out there. but I also think jealousy is another big one.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I trust you on anyone.
Yeah. So,
and I've heard that. Give you away half the time and they won't take you.
And I've heard that financial issues are like the number one reason for a lot of couples.
I'm really impressed with. We handle, I have student loans and he's really been a trooper with them, and like, we handle it and we talk about it and work through. I don't feel like that's, everyone said finances.
Well, I think that ties back into having communication and being open and supporting one another, because you have debt, I have debt,
right?
And so we're working through that together. And I think
it's not mine or yours; it's ours.
Yeah, we're
figuring it out,
keeping an open mind and just trying to listen.
Yeah.
So
a lot of no. I want a new bed. I want a new couch. We get a lot of no, not yet. But I appreciate it because I do understand why.
Somebody's got to keep us focused.
But you start looking at Pinterest, y'all. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know all about that Pinterest life. So
love it. Had a whole wedding planned on Pinterest like 10 years in advance. It was great.
And
Day got engaged. Whoop,
I don't know about those guys out there, but that exhausts me just even thinking about it.
Don't worry, I have our house planned. I have like kids' nurseries planned. We don't even have kids yet. We're golden.
You can tell who compliments the other on that one. Whereas I'm more of a, let's worry about tomorrow.
But you made a lot of decisions for the wedding. I had a bad headache the day we like went to finalize our wedding stuff, and he did the centerpieces, the tablecloths. I mean, you were making decisions.
I can make decisions.
Nailed it.
Planning?
That was planning. It was in August.
No, that's decision making. I can make decisions.
You did a good job.
So, but any last minute comments for our listeners?
I was going to say for you, I love you.
Yeah.
But I love your listeners too.
Yeah. Or what is an area that you think we could improve? Yeah. I forgot about that question. So we're going to come back.
That's a hard one. Honestly, this is going to sound so dumb, but like, you have made me more of a positive person. I don't really always.
It works, guys. Positivity all the time.
I don't look at the negative. Like, I don't say like, oh my gosh, I wish we would do this. I just look at like what we have going. I'm like, okay, this is something good. We have something good going. I don't know. I think for you it was always like me to join you at the gym, and I'm doing that now. I'm making healthy meals. Like.
Yeah, I think it's more we're doing more things together. Yeah. I know for me, making more of an effort to do date nights.
Yes, you know what? Now that you said that is something.
I will.
I'm the planner though, so I will plan our date nights like in advance. Like, hey, we're going here this day, and da da da. And it would be nice to be pursued a little bit.
And I am more of the spontaneous, like, hey,
let's go.
Yeah.
I'm like, but I'm not feeling that. I had texted our house on the plan.
And so it kind of.
You did bring me flowers today. He is really good about that. He will just randomly do that, and I appreciate that more than like on Valentine's Day or my birthday, because you expect it then.
Yeah. Random flowers tip for any guy listening out there. Random flowers help out a lot, and don't save it for when you're in trouble, because then flowers only say, hey, what did you do?
Right.
Flowers randomly is perfect, because it just says like, hey, I'm thinking about you.
Yeah,
I love you.
It's really sweet. I had a bad day yesterday, so it just made kind of everything wash away.
Yeah.
But you're good at that. Like, all of your gifts have a purpose. Like, he'll hear me say something and hold on to it. Like the chiminea for my birthday. He knows I love s'mores. And he's like, well, now we can have a fire outside.
Yeah.
Like, you really put a lot
Even
of thought.
during the summer.
You have bug repellent
wood or something.
Yeah, so we could do it in the summer.
So.
No,
we could.
I'll keep you around. You're a good guy.
Well, thanks. I guess I'll keep you too. You never know. I do now, though.
Do you want to sleep with me again? I think he's really wanting
there
the pull-out
is another
couch
relationship killer.
The pull-out couch. Send him that way, ladies. Don't give him the option to the guest room. No.
Nah.
The pull-out couch.
Yeah. Hey, at least it pulls out. You're not just sleeping on a couch. It's like a bed.
Not a comfortable one. I think this couch is from like 1970.
Oh, that one. Yeah, that's.
What other couch?
You get a good pull-out couch. I mean, not half bad.
I'm gonna get a good one. I'm gonna make it a punishment. It's not gonna be worthy.
Whatever. So, all right. Now, if you can give one piece of advice to anybody listening out there, what would you give them?
Be a giver. That's something that was really important to me. I'm always like, oh, this person's birthday's coming up. We gotta do this. And even if we only have a little bit of money left in our account, it is so worth it to be like, hey, I'm gonna get this person a gift just to see them smile.
Yeah, and I will.
It's just so we're thinking about them.
No, that's one thing that I admire about you. Is that you are the giver, and
you the receiver. That's for sure. I mean, not literally.
I'm kind of worried how that's going to be taken. But,
I know. I mean, not literally. He will take a gift.
No, but because like I thought I was a pretty good one, but then like you put me to shame, and so like our friends were getting a new house, and so she was like, "Oh, that's the," and she put together like a gift basket for him. I was like, "Oh." I didn't think about that because I'm not as good of a gift giver as I thought, but whatever. So it's not whatever, but I'm working on it.
Thinking about them. Like I was planning our wedding. I'm like, I have to spoil our bridesmaids.
Yeah, and for me, we've also taken a love language test thing, and I am definitely a quality time person. So
I'm a gifter.
Yeah, to each their own. That's your strength. My strength is spending time with people.
Kenny's Pizza, y'all.
Yeah. Can you guess? I guess we're going to Kenny's Pizza. Shout out to Kenny's Pizza. the post podcast meal place. Yeah.
One of our first dates. Stole my heart.
Yeah. So that about wraps up this episode. Hopefully you guys got some laughs, got some maybe just a little bit of wisdom or some good advice from us. We know we're pretty new to the game, but we just want to kick it off, do a lighter episode for the upcoming relationship series. So
it's gonna be a good one. I'm excited to listen to it.
I am too. I've got some interesting things planned. So stay tuned, everybody. And as always, if you only learn to do one thing, learn to make a difference. Y'all have a good night.